In this session, I want to talk about what's called the empty boat parable. I love these ancient pieces of wisdom. There's an old Taoist story, often attributed to the Chinese philosopher Zhang Zhao, that has survived for centuries because it reveals something timeless about human nature. Imagine yourself rowing alone across a quiet river at dawn, a little misty in the air. The water is smooth as glass, and the only sounds are the gentle splash of your oars and birds calling from the shore. It's one of those rare moments of complete peace. Then, in the distance, you notice another boat drifting straight towards you. You wave your arms. Hey, watch where you're going. There's no response. The boat keeps coming. You shout louder, your irritation turning into anger. Surely the other boatman sees you. Surely he's ignoring you. Your pulse quickens as you prepare to unleash your frustration. Crash. The boats collide. Furious, you leap to your feet, ready to confront the careless stranger. But when you look inside the other boat, you freeze. It's empty. There's no boatman, no careless rower, no one to blame. Your anger evaporates almost instantly. After all, who can you argue with? You simply boat away and continue your journey. That of the empty boat. The collision didn't change. The only thing that changed was your interpretation of it. When you believed someone had deliberately wronged you, your mind created a story. They were careless. They didn't respect me. They should have known better. These assumptions gave your anger something to feed on. But the moment you realized there was no one behind the collision, your anger had nowhere to go. It is a powerful metaphor for everyday life. Someone cuts you off in traffic, a coworker ignores your email, a friend forgets your birthday, someone leaves a rude comment online. Our first instinct is often to assume intention. They did this to me. Yet we rarely know the full story. Perhaps the driver is rushing to the hospital. Perhaps your coworker is overwhelmed. Perhaps your friend is struggling with problems you can't see. This doesn't excuse hurtful behavior. People should still be accountable for their actions. But understanding that not everything is personal gives us the freedom to choose our response instead of being controlled by our emotions. The parable also points to something even deeper. In Taoist philosophy, much of suffering comes from what is sometimes called, Maharishi says, problems abide in weakness. Weaknesses are in the small self as opposed to the big self, which is more enlightened. And more enlightened doesn't mean that you have some sort of oh, I'm so great. It means that you're using your full mental potential. And that's strength. So in Taoist philosophy, much of suffering comes from what is sometimes called the small self, the part of us that constantly recognition, respect, and validation. Our ego wants to be right. It wants to be admired. It wants to protect its image at all costs. When that small self feels, even small inconveniences can feel like personal attacks. But imagine if your own boat were empty, if there were less pride to defend, less need to win, less fear of being disrespected, then many of life's collisions would pass through you without leaving a lasting wound. The empty boat does not teach us to become passive or to accept injustice. Rather, it reminds us to question our first reaction. Before responding in anger, we can ask ourselves, am I actually reacting to what happened or to the story I've created about what happened? That single question has the power to prevent countless arguments, misunderstandings, and regrets. The wisdom of the empty boat is not about changing other people. It's about changing ourselves. We cannot stop life's collisions, but we can decide whether every bump becomes a battle. When we loosen our grip on the small self, our minds become calmer. When we question our assumptions, compassion grows. And when we remember the empty boat, we discover that peace is often not by controlling the river, but by learning how to navigate it. And when we remember the empty boat, we discover that peace is often found not by controlling the river, but by learning how to navigate it. But not by controlling other people's actions, but by learning how to respond appropriately to them. So that is the parable of the empty boat.